welcome back to Navigating Neva. I am your host, Neva Nicole, and I have my co-host with me,
Wesley
Wes.
King. Hey, everybody.
Yes. And today we have a very special guest with us. Tonight we have Jamal Hill. Wes, can you tell me a little bit about Jamal?
I can tell you a lot about Jamal. He'll do better than I will, but Jamal's been somebody I've known for several years now, a Paralympic medalist, which we're excited to talk about, an advocate of change in water safety, nonprofit leader. But most of all, Jamal is a great person. He believes in the mission of aquatics and aquatic safety, and so I'm excited to call him a friend, but also a professional colleague for sure.
Jamal, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, Wes, wonderful introduction. Thank you, and thank you, Nicole, for having me on today's show. Really happy to be here. Um, First things first, professional titles. I'm a CEO that just happens to do some swimming on the side and a few other hobbies. And some of those hobbies have gotten me all the way to the Paralympic stage, where I've had the honor of representing Team USA, bringing home a medal in Tokyo, and making the finals in Paris just last year. Right now, my sights are set on growing my company as my foundation. Our mission is to teach a million people around the world how to swim every year. I really focus on doing three things. That is growing the business, doing good, providing jobs. And right now, all roads, or should I say, all pools, are leading to LA 20. I'm very excited to welcome you both, hopefully, as well as the rest of the world, into my backyard, my home, Los Angeles, as a homegrown athlete and representative of Team USA. So, Jamal Hill, ready for a great show.
And as a man who travels all over the world, your backyard is where our next Olympics is, and so that's just fantastic. And Nicole, we've had a lot of firsts on our show, but our first Olympic medal winner is a big win for us too. So yes, please, Nicole, take it away. Yeah.
Yes, we are very excited to have you here tonight and appreciate your time. We wanted to start with our first question is we saw that you have your TEDx coming up and you opened with you shouldn't exist. Could you tell us a little bit more about what you meant with that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great show. I've seen some of your other work, so I'll keep it frank with you guys. Give the people what they want. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm an African American male. There's a pretty vicious rumor that's been around for decades. Black people don't swim. Um, Other than that, I'm a Paralympic swimmer, which means I live with disability, right? So the Olympics are the greatest athletes in the whole world for every country. The Paralympics are the greatest athletes in the whole world with disability for every country. And my disability is a neuropathy that I ultimately was diagnosed with at 10 years old. So these are two pretty big catalysts when I say I shouldn't be here and what that really means. Number one, the rare disease that I have. 95, 98% of people with my disease are wheelchair bound. They are unable to walk, without any type of mobility device. When I was a child, the doctors told my parents that I'd never walk again. Beyond that, again, like I just said, they say black people don't swim, and yet here I am, a young African American male. Not only do I swim, but I'm the best in America. And on any given day, definitely top five, top three, and with my sight on the number one best swimmer in the whole world in my discipline, in my distance. So that it was a bit of a clickbait title, something to get people's hearts and minds running. Well, what could that mean? But really greater than me, the entire TEDx speech, which by the way I rocked that stage. It'll be coming out on TEDx platforms in the next maybe month or two. TED they don't play about their talk, so they're making sure it's well polished before the global audience gets to experience the format. That said, the talk was all about energy and how crucial energy is to our lives and the forms that energy take from mental to physical to spiritual, and ultimately how harnessing that energy, not only from within, but from your community, can really lead to you doing the impossible and making it possible.
So true.
It,
So true.
it's so spot on, Jamal. And I, I've been fortunate enough to get to know you a little bit over the years, and I'm a living testament to how you've helped people mentally approach just obstacles, whether it's running your own business, whether it's creating culture change. But I've also got to know you in the aspect, and if you wouldn't mind sharing with the audience a little bit, you weren't always this way, maybe. Is that true? You weren't always so open and transparent with what you've gone through. And there was maybe a mindset change for yourself, if that's accurate. And maybe talk to the audience about how you've gotten more comfortable, quote unquote, being in your own skin, literally, but also in the world and how you tell your story and how you've shared what you've gone through. I'm proud of you to do it, but would you mind telling the audience
Yeah,
some of that
man.
work you've done
Yeah,
to get to that point?
absolutely. Like I said, well, that work for me, I mean, it never stops, right? It always continues in so many different aspects of life. But I believe you're specifically referencing really just my willingness to speak openly about my disability, about my condition.
Sure.
I was diagnosed at 10 years old, and there was a secret that I held very closely to my heart for
Mm.
12 years. In fact, I held it so long that I started to forget that I was hiding. You know,
You got so good at it.
yeah, got so good at it, man, and uh, and 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 not just that. Also, I think a challenge that I'm sure you, Nicole, can relate to, and Wes, I know you can relate to. When 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 your heart is set at being a high achiever, being the best at what you do, providing value to the world, excuses typically just don't fit that mold, right? They just don't fit that ideology.
Mhm.
And I never wanted to be the guy with excuses, right? I didn't want to feel like I'm trying to tell the world, hey, I got this thing wrong with me, but well, you can't see it. I don't fit the stigma of disability. Like you're gonna think I'm just making up reasons why I
Mhm.
can't. And so, for better for worse, I took it to an extreme, and in a lot of ways, that extreme again has produced the man that you see today, and has really led me to accomplishing, uh, whether someone thinks it's wonderful or not, my dreams, which I think is all that any of us can hope at the same pace to really reach the precipice of those dreams. I had to peel back a layer of that, quite frankly, not disability. I had to peel back a layer of shame, right? Because that's what
Mhm.
causes us. Shame convinces us to hide, to shrink, to go quiet. Whether or not, for me, I didn't want to be seen as less than. I didn't want to be seen as
Mhm.
not capable. And in fact, my Olympic dream up until I came more forward with my condition, it wasn't just about greatness. It was about proving that I wasn't broken. And actually, it wasn't
Mhm.
until, like I said, about a baker's dozen years after my diagnosis and ultimately leaving college, beginning my entrepreneurial journey, meeting really, the greatest coach that I've had the pleasure of working with during my professional career, Wilma Wong, and her pulling me aside and saying, "Hey, I see the way you walk. I see the way you air quote jump. Uh, there's something going on here. Something you're not telling me." And it was really her seeing me that really challenged me to see myself. And it was at that time that I decided to stop performing for this Olympic dream that didn't fit me.
Mhm.
And my true path, my true journey really began. That's when I chose the Paralympics, and much to my surprise, it wasn't a lesser stage; it was a freer
Thank you. Thank you.
one.
Yeah, you are one amazing guest, is all I can say. I am very humbled to have you on here. I know my audience is going to love everything that they get to hear from you tonight. So, in Tokyo 2022, when you stood up there on the podium, you received a medal. What did that moment mean, not just for you, but your family received that with you as well as your community and everybody else that was told they can't swim and your community, everybody. How do you think, what did that mean for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting in that specific moment. The biggest, I'll tell you about the emotion, and then I'll tell you about the meaning, right? The biggest emotion was relief, relief,
Yeah,
Relief.
I
Did you
bet.
say relief? We heard that right. Okay,
Yeah.
keep going.
relief was the biggest emotion, and uh, you know, Picture this. Picture this, right? Picture this. You're underwater. Your lungs are burning. Your heart is pounding. Right. This is no walk through the park here. Right. You are fighting for every inch, holding your breath the entire way. There's chaos all around, adrenaline, white water, nothing but the slosh in your ears. Someone's just behind you on your right, someone's just ahead on your left, and every second stretches longer. Every stroke brings you closer to your finish line. And then, boom, the wall. Now, swimmers typically turn around really fast to check the clock because that clock tells if you're fast enough, if you were good enough. But not me. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to see the clock because I wasn't there measuring a finish line. I was honoring my beginning. When I hit that wall, I didn't turn around because the meaning for me in that moment was I had fulfilled what I had come to do. And I didn't want, I didn't know. I just knew someone was behind me, someone was ahead of me. I could have came in second, I could have came in seventh place. I didn't know. And I wanted to stop and just have that moment and honor my journey, honor everything that everyone had poured into me. I knew I'd probably swim the best race of my life at that time, and I didn't want to give that power to a clock, right? To tell me that I was good enough that day. And when I was standing on that podium, don't get me wrong, getting that medal was so fantastic. That said, I was a champion long before some stranger, you know, put a medal around my neck and gave me a pat on the back to say, "Good job, you did it." I already believed that, and I already knew that, and yeah, that day the clock showed it. That said, um, the meaning behind it. I mean, with every year the meaning shifts, right? There's a very famous proverb that goes, "A man never crosses the same river twice," because the man is never the same, and the river is never the same. Right there we go, Nicole. You know it well, right? So every year it's so interesting my relationship with that moment. Just like again, we all have our moments in life as we reflect. Somehow the colors change, right? The hues are a little bit brighter. Some years they're a little bit dull, and at this point, when I reflect back and we do so much beautiful work in the community, not just in my immediate local community of Greater Los Angeles, but nationally and internationally, all people, but with a special focus on pretty much economically disadvantaged communities, looking to give them what they might not otherwise be able to afford. Um, you'd be surprised to know I typically leave the medal behind. You'd be surprised, and I'm a bit embarrassed to say I went looking for it the other day and I couldn't find it. It's around here somewhere. I know it is.
I knew better than to ask. I know you know better enough than to ask.
I'm in the
Yeah,
middle of a
because it's
little by the
not.
woods somewhere. But I say all that to say, a lot of times I'll leave the medal behind, not because I don't appreciate it, not because I don't love it. Don't get me wrong, it's great. But I leave it behind, and I tell the kids, the medal doesn't make you; you make the medal. Like it's don't we love trophies. They're great, but they rust, they rot, they depreciate just like everything else in life. I don't know who needs to hear this, and we were just up in Stockton working with some lifeguards launching a new program this past weekend, and they were asking me, show me the picture of you on the podium. They're like, what do you do? Like, do you sleep in it every night? Do you this? Do you that? And I mean, I wanted to put on an act for them, but I can only be me. And they were like, no, dude, this is an Olympic medal. You should be honoring this now. And I asked them jokingly a little bit, but like, have you ever won a trophy in your life? You ever won a spelling bee championship or maybe a race? Like, I get it's an Olympic medal. Trust me, I was there. That said, I don't walk around, holding it up. Like I don't keep it in my back pocket. It sits and I keep living, right? And that's because that medal didn't make me. In fact, that medal, and I appreciate it. I'm really honored to have earned it for myself and for my community, for Team USA. That said, Uh, it's you all are business people. We've got this wonderful event coming up right next month, almost less than 30 days away now. So
Yeah, yeah.
we can talk about the raw cost of materials, right? That metal ain't nothing but maybe like 15 or 20 recycled Nokia phones that have been painted bronze, right? If we're just talking raw materials here,
If we're
you
dollars and
walk away
cents here,
with
right? Yeah.
bronze or silver or gold. That thing is not, it's not fully bronze, it's not fully silver, it's not fully gold. In fact, a lot of my Olympic and Paralympic counterparts, if you've ever seen this documentary called The Weight of Gold, you see the truly
Yes.
detrimental effects that happen when people place their value in objects. Even those of us who are winners, even those of us who have won a gold medal, go down this very dark path of depression and ultimately suicide because they come to this point, and God forbid, maybe in U.S. they want to go and pawn that medal. Guess what? The only value of that medal is who won it. Sure, maybe Michael Phelps' pawn medal means something because it's Michael Phelps. But other
But
than that, again, like, dude, this is painted Nokia cell phones, man. Like, what do you want? $30 for this? Like, and that's the reality of it. So that's a really loaded question. I know I took you all the way around the toilet bowl and down the drain on that, but really really a great question.
well, and you said for those of us that need to hear it, I think everybody does because it's a great example of finding that balance. And a lot of us work really hard in the aquatic industry, and maybe we'll never have the podium successful you have, but have successful days. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of us have to recover from drowning or have to work with a teammate that, and so the ability for the resilience, and then also the balance of what's next, the balance of I did this, now I'm doing that, and that led you to swim uphill, and that led you to your foundation and your book. Would you mind sharing with the audience about how you were able to take that in water mentality and that competitive approach, not be satisfied, and then take it to the business world and take it to the nonprofit world?
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
Nicole, I know that was your question, and I own that.
No, it's okay, Nicole. He's excited. He's fired up now. He's got it rolling. That's it. I'm gonna come in with an extinguisher here. My journey is a bit different maybe than most people's. Right, a lot of people look to convert their podium into a brand, right? Like and more opportunities. Uh, I've always believed when I dropped out of college in 2016 because I had this crazy Olympic dream which ultimately turned into a Paralympic purpose, I was not disillusioned, right? Like I pretty much knew, like, Wes, Nicole, between the two of you, I'd be surprised across all sports if you could name 50 Olympians in the past 50 years across any country. I'd actually be pretty surprised. You might have earned a cupcake. But definitely, if you could name 50 Olympians across any sport, just for Team USA, and I know for a fact one of you alone probably could not do it. That said,
Fair.
those less than 50 names you could think of, those are the ones who maybe were able to ride out, some degree of a comfortable life on that medal, right? There's hundreds, still the 1%, but there's hundreds of others, thousands even, of medalists across the decades who've run gold, silver, bronze, um, and it meant absolutely nothing. They got their 15 minutes, and then heck, life went right back to normal, and sometimes it became even worse than normal. Very
Mhm.
similar to the lottery effect. If you're familiar with the statistics around persons who win the lottery and how they end up typically in a worse off financial place than they were prior to winning, right? Um, I was not disillusioned about that. I understood from day one, and this is actually kind of becoming a core principle of my brand as we move into LA 28. Here's a soundbite: Don't just build a brand, build a business.
There
Um,
we go.
from day one, swimming, pro swimming, the international platform, this was only meant to be a foot in the door. I wasn't being facetious when I said swimming is a bit of a hobby. Like I love it. It's opened up a lot of doors. It's great for the marketing aspect of my business. It means a lot to me personally. It provides me a lot of great fulfillment, and in my younger years, was a way to really concentrate my kind of untempered competitive nature, right? Not knowing how to maybe channel it in ways outside of physical exertion. Um, that said, from day one, 2018, I'm standing on a Paralympic podium. I mean, a Paralympic podium, standing on a national title podium 3 years before my Paralympic medal. And I knew right there in that moment that I was going to have at least a 10-year run through LA 2028, always begin with end in mind. But I also knew, to even be able to attract sponsors, which begging is not a business model, but even to attract sponsors, to be able to attract partners, to be able to do these things, there was going to have to be a greater good. There were going to have to be products. There were going to have to be services that were developed, my Eulerian destiny, again, it all was right down the aquatics funnel. I wanted to keep it niche so that the closer it was, the more focus I would be able to have while doing these extremely challenging things in tandem. But yeah, really, really in 2018, 3 years before I made that podium, we were already doing the work with the Swim Uphill Foundation. We had already, I'd already brought on a research and development team looking to figure out how do we, potentially build a program and a curriculum that would teach the most challenging person to swim, right? People who have fears of water. And then how do we take those insights and apply it to people who don't have access to a coach, who don't have access to a pool, who don't have the money, and their parents and their families don't have the time to invest? How do we build a program and a curriculum that serves them? And over the years, we had large partnerships even before I ended up on that Paralympic podium. We were doing deals with Airbnb, and our program was being used by over 200 families across 6 out of the 7 continents during COVID, right? So
Wow.
coming off that podium, there was no, I mean, it wasn't like, oh, this is the aha moment, right? Like it was
Business is
like
business. You're still going.
it's business as usual, and even again, just to put it in formation for you, it's like, what I'm building here is, put simply, is a wall, right? And every brick, when you're building a wall, every brick has the same value. It doesn't matter if that brick is made of clay or if that brick is made of gold. Guess what? The job's not done until the last brick goes into the wall, right? So it's like, yeah, Tokyo 2021, that was a golden brick that went into the wall. That said, it had just as much structural integrity and importance as every other brick that went in before it and every other brick that's coming after it until the wall is fully complete.
Let me pull you back a little bit and tell our
Yeah.
listeners a little bit more about Swim Uphill, what it is and where the name came from.
Yeah, for sure. So the Swim Uphill Companies and Foundation, that is my job and duty. Like I said, I'm a CEO first, an athlete, an entertainer, an actor, all those things second, third, and fourth. The foundation's mission is to teach 1 million people around the world how to swim every year.
A
Obviously, in
million
this country,
people.
our CDC has taken very substantial hits under the current federal administration. I'm not one for, well, I mean, we're all ones for politics. I'm not one to push my views on anyone else. That said, if the CDC and
Hmm.
the agencies that are meant to look after our safety, especially in our water safety community, are being attacked, uh, guess what's going to happen? Our kids are going to be attacked. Our at-risk
Hmm.
communities are going to be attacked. We're going to see drowning increase, right? So wrong is wrong, and I'm
Hmm.
never going to apologize for addressing that. That said, on that's just a micro scale, right? That's just the United States. We are a first world
Fair.
country. We're one of the richest countries in the world, if not the most wealthy. So on a macro global scale, drowning is a much larger problem, right? Drownings in the U.S. truly only represent maybe 1% of global drownings. So it's a
And that's what's
problem.
documented, by the way. What's documented too.
That's what's documented, right? And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what's documented, So those documents, right, they typically range between 2 to 300,000 drownings globally. I know it would not be a far cry to probably at least double to triple those numbers, right? Especially when we're talking about most of these drownings occurring in regions where they they don't even have a
Right.
census, right? Like, so the likelihood,
They're going layers deep, and yeah.
yeah, there are many layers deep. So that said, that was the heart behind founding the Swim Uphill Foundation. And again, I've always been, hey, don't just build a brand, build a business. The best thing any of us can do is study. I said I dropped out of college to pursue my passion and my dream. I just want to, maybe your audience take one thing from that, and that one thing is the most important thing you can do in this life is to continue to learn and to be educated. So, whether you're still in formal schooling or not, the or not aspect just means you are now in control of your education completely. So you better make sure you're going to a good school. And I to this day strive to enroll myself in the best learning that there is, whatever is available. I'm always a student. My favorite thing is to be the dumbest person in the room, and that comes from. I know some people say that, but from an athlete's perspective, that's how we're trained, right? When you're a young kid in swimming or sports, if you want to get better, guess what you have to do? You
It
have to
works
play.
first.
You've got to play up, right? Like you've got to play up a couple age groups if you want to get better. And so in
Hmm.
life, it's no different. If you want to get better, you want to get smarter, you want to grow, you've got to play up. You want to be not the smartest person in the room. You want to not have it figured out. You want to be struggling because that's where you grow. That's where you have the most opportunity to grow. The people who are the best, they tend to grow the least because the best of something is always the worst somewhere else. So get where you're the worst and do some growing. That said, that mission of teaching a million people around the world how to swim has really driven the expansion of our company following international nonprofit business models such as IKEA. Many people don't know that IKEA is an international nonprofit. Up until just a few years ago, the National Football League, yeah, was a national nonprofit. So with my staff and my team, I mean, obviously our tax designation is a nonprofit, but I really consider us a for-purpose business. And so we operate under that nonprofit shelter, doing good, providing jobs, growing the business. But then we have several divisions within the Swim Uphill company that are for-profit entities, from gaming to animation to technology to our municipality consulting departments that allow us to govern contracts, bring in investors, and all of this still, quite frankly, does support our greater mission of teaching a million people around the world how to swim every year, not just by having Jamal Hill in the pool, but by reaching people where they are with what they have, with what they already care about, and just going ahead and very seamlessly integrating this essential life skill into the values that already exist in their hearts and their minds.
Absolutely. What they already care about. I love that trend, that bridge. We already care about these things. How do we do it all together? How do we put all the pieces together, i.e., your brick by brick? But again, the way you approach the business world, I think you do a great job of combining all those pieces, not just to be the quote one-stop shop, but to take a vision of it and build it forward. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I see you over there, Nicole. When I finish that, I don't know, it's like whew, this guy is like doing too much here. But this is the truth. This is what I stand by, and this is what I call people to believe in and to support. And Nicole, this is my first time being able to engage with you. But as Wesley said, I'm a big believer in Wesley and everything he does. We've had an opportunity to build not just a professional but a personal relationship over the years. And this is what brings us together, right, in the aquatics community. This is what
Yes.
galvanizes us, right? Like you might be like, man, like who the heck is this guy? What the heck is this? Right? Who did you
She
bring
says
on?
that about me. Don't worry.
Who did you
Yeah.
bring on to the show tonight? That said, I would say like you know, I don't know the first thing about curing homelessness. I couldn't tell you about how we're gonna feed the whole world, but somehow everyone in the aquatics community is drinking the same Kool-Aid when we say we think we can end drowning. We
We
think
do.
that's
We
the
do.
cure,
We talk
right?
to everybody. Everybody Wes and I talk to has the same shared passion, and
Mm-hmm.
we all think it can end. It can end. But your story was
Hashtag
powerful.
zero drownings.
Yes, that's mine is hashtag zero drownings. I have been listening to everybody for decades now, and I think it's crazy. I mean, my big things are we fight for fire safety and we fight for gun violence, and I don't downplay those at all. I think they're very important, but we don't from a world standpoint, look at drownings. And even in the
Right.
United States, we don't look at them when they're taking lives every day.
At the risk of having too much fun, Jamal, are you up for a couple quick hit snapshot questions,
Yeah,
i.e.,
let's
what
do
was
it,
your
man.
favorite pool to ever swim in? What's the coolest, most fun pool you've ever swam in?
The coolest, most fun pool I've ever swam in. Oh, dude, I should probably have this on speed dial. Um, um,
Tell me it was overseas, not here.
I mean, I'm sure like with more
Uh,
time, I'll probably later think of it, but I was just there recently. One pool that's in my heart, that it's very cool because few people will ever be able to swim in it. Our family, are part of our family network. There's a place in Los Angeles called Lamert, called View Park, and in 2019, we ran our first swim uphill program. Ultimately, brought people from the lower end community across the street into the higher end community, and we rented out all these backyard pools, and people got to learn how to swim in their neighbors' yards. And one of those properties,
oh,
their
cool.
pool sits on this lawn that overlooks a bluff with a beautiful view of downtown Los Angeles. And it's close to my heart because it's in our family, but it's also one of my favorite things, and we got to share that with a small cohort of students who took lessons at that location.
That is awesome. That is very
That is
awesome.
fantastic.
I'll
So
make the rest
See,
of
we
them
can
more
have fun
quick, Wes, I
too.
promise.
you can. My rapid fire question for you
Okay.
is, what is a myth about disabilities that you would erase forever?
A myth about disabilities that I would erase forever is that oh boy, a myth about disabilities I would erase forever is that having two arms, two legs, two ears, two eyes are what make you human. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
any of my quick hit questions will not come up with an answer or question as good as that. So Nicole wins the night because Jamal wins the night because we all win. And again, like I said, Jamal, you've been so supportive. I know September 20th, we're doing a big event for all things aquatics. I know you're traveling and doing TEDx. But again, you being here and you being supportive of what we're doing and vice versa is really just what carries us forward. And so we're just so appreciative of your time and your willingness to tell your story.
Hey, all things aquatics all day. Make sure you all are there on September 20th. Tune in, support virtually, share. Really appreciate you both for having me on the podcast tonight. A great pleasure to be able to just to man, hopefully just, say something that somebody needed to hear and for it to be heard on your platform. So I really appreciate that opportunity.
Yes, thank you so much. That's what we're
Absolutely.
hoping for too. We're going to get it out tonight, and thank you and good luck coming up.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Thanks, Jamal. We'll chat soon. Thanks again.
Take care, guys, and no drowning. Stay safe until next time.